Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. This is Sakina here, as you have just heard my introduction. The topic for today actually is learn to eat right, not to eat less. We are going to definitely cover up this topic as well as something really important that I have to share with you all. Now, okay. Now, from the 1st of September till the 7th of September every year, the nutrition team basically we celebrate National Nutrition Week. Now, every year we come up with a theme to work towards that theme. So this year's theme is life cycle approach for better nutrition. What does this theme mean? It exactly means that at every stage of life, be it a one-year-old child, a pre-toddler, or adolescent, teenager, or be adults or senior citizens, at every life cycle, we have to learn the importance of health, nutrition, better kind of nutrition so that we can eradicate malnutrition. Malnutrition has been an issue in India since a very, very long time. The causes of malnutrition are definitely many, one of them being poverty, unavailability of nutrients, specifically macronutrients at a lot of places in India. So that leads to malnutrition. We also need to understand that the nutrition for every person, ranging from a child to a senior citizen, is different at different stages of life. You cannot expect the same kind of food or the same variety or the same portion of food to be given to the same people, in every life cycle. So we need to understand that. Also, we need to understand the importance of nutrients like macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, everything, as well as the micronutrients, that is the minerals and vitamins, calcium, iron, all of these, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E, vitamin C, all of these play a very, very vital role in our lives. In different stages, these vitamins have different importance. So having said that, we will now move forward to something that we first need to understand is what is health basically. When I meet a lot of people every time, and then the first thing I ask them is that have you just come to lose weight over here, or have you just come to gain weight over here, or just for your health issues, or is it that you want to become healthy? What do they understand with the meaning of being healthy? Like, do they really want to be just lose weight and be as it is, or they want to really become fit and more energetic in their lives? So when I ask their healthy eating habits, now I'm sure all of us have certain habits that we feel are healthy. Like I come across people telling me that, Sakina, I don't miss my breakfast. Whatever happens, I always have my breakfast. So yes, bingo, that's a very, very good healthy eating habit that you're indulging yourself in. Apart from that, certain habits that I will come across right now, I'm discussing a few with you, and any other habits that every one of you have that you feel is healthy, but you want to know from me that, Sakina, is it really healthy or no? You can just type it down on your chat, and I will answer it in the end of the session. Some people tell me that, Sakina, I make it a point that I have at least 5 to 6 fruits in the day. So over here, I would say that having fruits is definitely a healthy practice, but it depends from person to person, and even the health issues that you have to keep in mind. Only then I will be at a better position to answer whether having 5 to 6 fruits in a day is healthy or no, and which ones are you having. For example, someone who is say 100 kilos and is having around 5 to 6 bananas every day. So definitely that's not a healthy practice. But if he says that I'm having a banana, say once in like 3 days, and the other days I'm having another seasonal fruit like orange or papaya or sweet lime, then definitely having fruits is a healthy practice. Then some people tell me that, Sakina, I always, I like to have more of tea and coffee in the day. So I go up to like 8 to 10 cups in the day, without which I cannot start my day and my day goes bad. So I tell them that, again, according to the health issues and what the person is and what is their health goal, too much of caffeine intake in the day is not good for your health. Reason number one, you are unnecessarily consuming, and I mean, you're suppressing your appetite so that the next meal you will not be able to have too much of your portion which your body requires. And number two reason is increased intake of caffeine will inhibit the absorption of other nutrients that has to be absorbed in your body, that is from the food. Like for example, calcium and iron. Absorption of calcium ion decreases if the caffeine intake is increased in the day. Apart from this, another healthy practice people usually tell me that, Sakina, I always go for a walk in the morning every day. Yes, that's an excellent healthy practice that you are doing, but understand that morning walk is best because your metabolism is the highest. Metabolism is the rate at which your body is burning calories. That's the highest in the morning. So assuming that you're going for a walk on an empty stomach, you are likely to use your stored body fats to give energy to your body during your walk. That's how you are on a path towards health, towards losing your fat percentage, getting it down, feeling more lighter, more energetic throughout the day, and keeping your metabolism high throughout the day. Because this metabolism goes on, it's like it gives you ups and downs. As the day progresses, your metabolism also will drop down on its own. So to let it be on a higher scale, on a higher end, and to keep losing weight and to keep, feel healthy, you have to indulge in some physical activity, minimum 45 minutes to an hour, at least 6 days in a week, 1 day body rest. Now, some people tell me, Sakina, I don't have time in the morning. There's office and there's housework and cooking and all of that, and I really cannot make it in the morning. So what's the solution to it? Yes, evening walks are absolutely okay with me, but you have to understand that in the evening, your metabolism is anyways on the lower side. So the rate at which you will burn more calories during your walk is a little lesser than what you would burn generally in the morning walk. But it's not bad. You can always go for an evening walk if you cannot manage in the morning. It's not only the walk. There are any other cardio activities also that you can indulge yourself in, like swimming, or you can go the treadmill or the cycle or the elliptical, jogging or skipping. All of that is okay with me. Now, to come to that, the next thing that we're going to take into mind is there are certain healthy eating habits that I personally believe if we indulge in or we try to incorporate these in our lifestyle, I'm sure we'll make our lifestyle into a more healthier one. Number one is never skip your breakfast. As I've told you all earlier also, we can see the benefits that we're getting from a healthy breakfast at the side of the slide. Increased metabolism, better memory, improved concentration, better weight management. Now, if you say, I don't have time to have breakfast, so I don't know. I mean, I would always tell my clients, the most quick and easy thing to have is, why don't you just pop your cereal and milk in the morning? No cooking required, no one's help required, everybody can do that on their own. So no time to have breakfast is a reason which is not acceptable at all. In today's hectic life schedule also, just having a slice of bread probably with little green chutney on top and onion, kakri, tomato or something like that, or a sandwich or something is not going to take that much time. If it is well prepared, fair enough, you can go ahead. Eggs are the most healthiest protein options for breakfast. Now, what exactly should your breakfast be? It should be some kind of carbohydrates and some kind of protein. Now, for that, we need to understand the concept, what is carbohydrates and what is protein. We usually make mistakes in understanding that what are we having? Are we having carbs or are we having proteins, or which foodstuffs have carbs and which foodstuffs have protein? We need to understand that. So, carbs means roti, rice, bread, pasta, pizza, spaghetti, noodles, pita pouch, all of these cereal, oats, upma, poha, rava, idli, dosa, all of this is carbohydrates. What is protein? Starting with obviously eggs, chicken, fish, pulses, all kind of lentils, beans, soya, all kind of dals that you're talking about, tofu, all of this is protein. Milk and all its milk products is also protein. So we need to have some kind of carbs and proteins for the breakfast. You can try out every other combination that you can try. Like, as I said, bread and egg whites is also fine. Cereal and milk is also fine. Poha and boiled egg whites is fine. Poha with milk or dahi is fine. A small wheat paratha or a bajra bhakri or a jawar, or a nachni bhakri in the morning, that is also fine. Oats as a porridge or as an upma, that is also fine with me. Suji chilla or a suji idli or suji dhoklas in the morning with any kind of protein intake is also fine with me. So this is how we will first make a thumb rule that to start these, to start a healthy lifestyle, we are never going to miss our breakfast. Second, we come up to portion control and meal timing, which is again extremely important. How much do we eat and what time do we eat really makes a lot of difference. Tea is absolutely okay in the morning breakfast. There is no restriction to it that you cannot have tea in the morning or something like that, but we just need to take care that what is our total consumption of tea in the day, tea or coffee. As I have pointed out earlier, we cannot afford to have too much of caffeine intake in the day. Coming back to portion control and meal timing, every individual will have different needs. Every body has different needs according to their body frame size, according to the physical activity that they do in the day, their age, their height, their weight, and their sex, either female or male. Their requirements, body requirements are absolutely different. So how much and how often to eat will also depend from one individual to another. But just make sure that you are not keeping long meal gaps during the day, because what happens in that is, when assuming, imagine a car and there's no fuel into it, no petrol into it, your car will not move ahead. Similarly, your body's metabolism, if you do not give food to your body from time to time, your metabolism will not work further. If it doesn't go further, you are just accumulating and storing all your food in terms of fat. The storage, the form of storage in your body is in terms of fat. So it's a vicious cycle. If you have large meal gaps, your body starts getting those signals that, oh, this person has had right now he's not going to have for the next 6-7 hours. Let me save this food for later energy. And that saving is in the form of fat. So next time, after 6-7 hours, when your next meal comes in front of you and you're finished consuming that meal, all that meal goes in. Body will store most of it into fat. So that way, the more fat you are storing, the more your metabolism is falling down. And vice versa, if you go backwards, the more frequently you have high throughout the day, you're burning more calories through your fat and through the food that you're eating. So that's where your storage becomes less, your expenditure becomes more. So just keep this in mind. And the slogan that we always use, no time to eat, busy schedule, I don't carry tiffin because I don't get the time to eat in the office, or your lunch timings are always very late in office because of work. All that is just, right now, it's, for me, it's like a bahana, an excuse that you're making. But if you actually take it on you that, no, I have to go towards the healthier path, you will definitely make some time to eat. If not, some people, I see them, having lunch at their table in front of their PCs. So again, what you're doing is, you are not giving full justice to the food that you are eating. Don't do that. Just spare just a minimum of 10-15 minutes is also fine to have your lunch. Specifically a healthier lunch, where what do we need, what should we see in the lunch and dinner, we're going to come ahead, we're going to see that in the later stages. Include every food group. That's what I just said, that for your lunch and dinner, what are we going to see and what are the things that we should have is the list that is in front of you.
some kind of carbohydrates, some kind of protein, vitamins and minerals, which we usually get through fruits and vegetables, fats. Now, fats is not completely bad. Please get that out of your mind that, oh, if I have oil or if I have too much of oily food, or yes, too much of oily food is not good, but you need some amount of fat or oil in your body for certain functions that go in your body. Fats are two kinds. One is the good quality fat and the other one is the bad quality one. So we do require the good quality ones, namely the omega-3 and omega-6 and omega-9, which we've always heard, from a lot of people, from our doctors and from our nutritionists, that so this kind of oils are necessary for our body. All our organs in our body have a lining. That lining is made up of fats. Now, what do these linings do? Whenever you get an external injury, so this fat lining protects your organs from damage. Secondly, almonds, walnuts, all these nuts, peanuts, all of these also have some amount of oil or some amount of fat in it. So assuming we are having handful of nuts in the day, plus the oil that is used for cooking in the day is more than sufficient for us to get the fat intake that requires during the day. Sometimes, however, this intake on a higher end for some individuals is wrong. I mean, if it is had in excess, too much of oily food and too much of mutton intake in the day or too much of beef intake in the day definitely increases your fat intake, which directly leads to increase in fat storage. That leads to weight gain, obesity, and all the other health diseases and health issues that we connect with obesity. Like then obviously there's heart problems going on, and there's diabetes, there is abnormal lipid profile. So all of that will come into picture. And water. Water is one of the most important components of the food. However, we usually neglect that because of lack of time, and we forget to have water in between, which is not the right way to do. For some people, some of my clients who absolutely forget to consume water and the water intake is really low, the best and the only solution that I give them is start keeping reminders on your phone. It'll start ringing, alarms will start ringing, you yourself will start having water. 1 glass, 2 glasses, so that in one glass you keep an alarm on your phone, or you keep a bottle with you, 2 liters, 2 to 2.2 liters for women, and approximately more than 2.5 to 3 in the day. You can carry two bottles, 1 liter each, and make sure that you're completing these 2 bottles throughout the day. Another, see, it's not only water, even when in terms of, I'm counting the liquids as well. So some people who like chas or soup or any kind of liquids, you can get coconut water. So all of that, we generally have tea, coffee. So all of that will assume another 500 ml or 600 ml going through that. So you ensure that 2 liters of water is going throughout the day, and the other amount of liquids that will count into it. Now, the next slide is the 4th point. Eat your favorite foods carefully. I always believe in something that whenever I plan a diet for my clients, I never omit something completely from their diet. So how do I plan their diet is, it goes like a give and take relationship. The first week is planned where it's simple, basic home food, cooked food, after which you have to include your favorite foods, but there's a certain limit to it and a certain way that you can have. And there are different ways of compensation for the same. Now, some people have a lot of sweet cravings. Sakina, I require some kind of sweet after my lunch and some kind of sweet after my dinner compulsorily. So what do I tell them is, why don't you have a piece of date, or you can have frozen grapes, or you can have any kind of sweet fruit which is naturally very sweet, sometime after your lunch and dinner, leaving a gap. So what happens is, instead of putting your hands on those ghee and mawa and malai laden sweets and mithais, why don't we just have a fruit where we are getting fiber, we are getting natural sugar, we are getting the vitamins and minerals that are present in that fruit. So your sweet craving is also handled, and plus you're getting other additional vitamins as well. Freeze the fried stuff away from your life. I would definitely not advise you to have a lot of oily food and fried stuffs. Samosas, bhajiyas, vada pavs, farsan, chiwda, all of these are your partners specifically during your tea time, if I'm not wrong. Some people have it for their breakfast. Like I meet a lot of people and they tell me, what's your breakfast? And they're like, nothing, just, tea and probably a curry or a toast or, I mean, any farsan or chiwda that is there at home. So imagine starting your day with fried stuff in the morning, where your breakfast is the most important meal, because when your metabolism is the highest, if your breakfast is good, you will keep up the high metabolism for the next 4 hours. But if your breakfast is with this chiwda and deep fried stuff, you are messing with your metabolism. You are falling. You're making the metabolism fall furthermore down. So the chances of you to feel lighter and lose weight and keep up that high metabolism becomes zero. Secondly, cut down on cheese. Now, why have I written this is, I am not saying a completely no to cheese, but now we get a lot of variety of cheese in the market. That, I mean, low-fat cheese is definitely available. So why not we resort to that? Whenever we are making pizzas at home, I would definitely, or even for that matter outside, I do not allow melted cheese on pizza. What happens with melted cheese is the quantity of cheese that goes in the oven, it's like a huge piece and then it melts on the entire slice. So you are generally technically having more number of calories as compared to if after the pizza is baked and when it's served to you, you can take the X amount of cheese that is recommended to you by your nutritionist and then spread it on your number of slices that you're allowed to have. So these small minute changes that we make in our lifestyle today, definitely it's going to be a little difficult in the start, but believe me, it's going to yield a lot of good results in the end. The next point is, be picky at restaurants and invitations. Obviously, we get a lot of invitations, we go to restaurants, we go out. So the meal outs are absolutely not an issue with me. I personally give my clients everything from the second week onwards. First week, making it very simple, basic. I need to know whether the portion size that I'm giving them to eat is enough for them or no. From the second week, meal outs and varieties and options is given, definitely. So be it pasta or pizza or spaghetti or noodles, what you need to keep in mind is how would you balance that meal of yours and what is the portion size that you are having. So in terms of balancing, you have to learn the previous slide that we had seen, the different various fruit groups that you need to include in your lunch and dinner. So make sure if you are having pasta, so pasta is carbs, correct? After that, you need some kind of protein. So being a non-vegetarian, you can order a chicken pasta, you are sorted. But for vegetarians, if you're ordering pasta with few vegetables in it, then you need to separately order either a bean salad, or you can order a miso soup, or you can order some tofu with stir-fried veggies. So where you're ensuring that you are getting some kind of protein as well as vegetable, and pasta becomes your carbs. So all the three things are there in that one meal that you are having: carbohydrates plus proteins and plus vegetables. So you're getting your fiber, you're getting your protein, and you're getting carbs, you're getting energy from the carbohydrates. Similarly, if it is dosa, for example, dosa or idli. So dosa or idli becomes your carbohydrates. After that, sambar. Usually sambar has a lot of vegetables in it. So having your sambar gives you your pulse, that is your protein, as well as your vegetable intake. Definitely, I would tell you to avoid the coconut chutney. If in case someone who is not fond of nuts and no health issues, touch wood, so then a little coconut chutney once in a while is okay, but not that every time you're having South Indian, you're having a big bowl of coconut chutney with a big bowl of green chutney and sambar and everything. So balancing is the key to success, and what to balance, how to balance, and all of that, definitely you need to approach your nutritionist for it. She will make you understand according to your height and age and weight and all of that, what is the total caloric intake that you require and the total amount of proteins, and then balance it out in the day. Now, after you've understood this concept of this carbs and proteins and you need to have a full meal, the last point that I've written over here is eat until 80% full. Believe me, this has worked wonders for a lot of people who I have explained this concept. Initially you will feel a little different to understand that what do you mean by 80% full. Now 80% full means I am not eating and eating and eating until and unless I'm like, oh my god, pass, now my meal is done and I'm feeling very full. You need to understand, you yourself are the ones who will understand your body. No one else is going to come and explain it to you, okay, no, you know what, this much you've had, this is 80% is over. No, you yourself have to understand that. So you keep some space empty. You are not sitting on the table and completing each and every dish and finishing it off till you are completely full. So when you start practicing this and understanding your body, you will feel the difference for yourself. There are certain other benefits to it also. Like for example, you will you will leave the table early, so you will start experiencing that you're getting more time to do something else, something more productive, and you will start feeling lighter. You will lose on your inches as well, because you're eating only till you're 80% full. You have that space that after some time, after say another 2.5 to 3 hours, you can fill your stomach with something like a fruit or a chas or a curd. So your major meals are lunch, breakfast, lunch, evening snack and dinner. These four are your major meals. Not more than 4.5 hours of gap between these four major meals. So the days you start your breakfast late, every meal becomes late. The days you start your breakfast early, every meal becomes early. So you start calculating yourself. That flexibility is given to you. And mid meals, you can always have any fibrous or protein stuff like fruits, green tea is fine. Any chamomile tea is also very good for health, full of antioxidants. Any herbal tea is okay with me. You can have veggies, salad, soup, chas, curd, raita, milk. All of this as mid fillers is okay. The next point that we come to, which is very, very, very important, and that's called stay active, where obviously sometimes things become very difficult to give to allow to complete 1 hour for some kind of physical activity. People tell me, Sakina, who will enroll in the gym? I don't have the time to go to the gym at all. Sometimes obviously finance also matters, that why would someone spend so much to go to the gym when I don't know whether I will go continuously or no, and I'm paying for the whole year. So make sure that you're staying active throughout the day. Morning walk is fine, as I told you. Swimming is fine. Any kind of sports activity that you can indulge, badminton, tennis, cricket, golf, all of this is fine with me. Take stairs wherever possible, wherever you go to the mosque or workplace or mandir, or whether you're staying in a hotel. If you're going out for some business meeting and you're staying in a hotel, instead of taking the lift, why don't you take the stairs? So I'm sure you're burning some kind of calories in that as well. You can attach yourself to a pedometer or a Fitbit or any device that counts the steps. For if you're looking for weight loss, okay, so I would suggest a minimum of 12,000 steps in the day. Pick up or drop your children. So you play with them in the evenings, so that also improves your physical activity. Group and individual sports for children. Now this is a specific point for children. Basically what I usually tell parents is that it's not only for the adults that we are seeing, to be healthy and to lose weight and to eat this and to keep the concept in mind and all that. It also goes to the children as well. When it comes to the children, we are not seeing only as food and physical and health and all that. We are also seeing their mental performance. So for that, I always give them a suggestion that group and you enroll your child in one of the group activities as well, group sports, and as individual sports also. So in terms of group sports activities like football, basketball and all that, you are ensuring that he learns values like team building and leadership. And in terms of individual sports, you are also making sure that his self-confidence goes high. So it's just a tip that I keep giving my clients, and that's why I thought I would put it over here also. It's basically living healthy does not mean it's connected only to food. It is connected to food, exercise, your mental fitness, everything. All of it go hand in hand. The next point is ensure optimal vitamin and mineral intake. These are the micronutrients that usually we forget to in our diet, we just feel that, I'm feeling very energetic, it's okay, I don't need a vitamin, I don't need a supplement, because usually vitamins and supplements are taken as medicines. People come and tell me, कोई दवाई तो नहीं लेनी पड़ेगी ना? Do we have to take any medicines? So this is not, vitamins and minerals are not medicines. We need to understand that. They are supplements. Supplements are sometimes the certain vitamins and mineral requirement, that is the body requirement that we have, it's not met with food alone. And there are various reasons to it. Probably you are not having that much of food in the day. Second reason could be that in today's world, in today's lifestyle and farming activities, how much of pesticides and all of that is used during farming. So the amount of vitamin C or vitamin A in that particular food, how much of it actually our body gets is a question mark. After the farming, then the foods are transported from one place to the other, and then it's sold in the market. We get it from the market. So you can imagine the amount of loss of vitamin from that food. And even worse than that is how much of these vitamins are actually absorbed in the body. That is another question mark. You might have, like, for your vitamin C, usually when I prescribe a supplement for a vitamin C intake, patients tell me, no doctor, you can give me, you tell me to have oranges or sweet limes or lemon or amla, I will have all of this. So I tell them, okay, so if I tell you to have like 2 to 3 kilos of oranges every day, would you be able to have that to get your vitamin C intake? It's obviously, it's not practical in today's life. And these supplements are not, they don't have any side effects on your body. These are depending on obviously from where you're taking and who's prescribed you and what is it. But my point here is that it's not just popping a vitamin that I'm telling you to, but my point is to consciously keep in mind that you are energetic throughout the day by ensuring that your fruits and vegetable intake in the day is above average, above the normal. Just having 2 small bowls of vegetables in lunch and dinner and just having 1 fruit in the day is not going to ensure that you're getting all the required vitamins and minerals in your body. What do these do? Some of these definitely improve your metabolism indirectly. Like in your digestion process, the food when it's digested in your body, there are certain B vitamins that play a role in the digestion process. So definitely you need a multivitamin which will enhance the digestion process, and hence it will enhance your metabolism. Vitamin C and iron, they increase your immunity. That is the way that your body reacts to various diseases and fights against them, that increases. If you start falling ill again and again, if you feel fatigued at the end of the day, so definitely that's a sign that your immunity is going down. It also ensures increased productivity. Now, vitamin D and calcium, they both go hand in hand. Vitamin D enhances the calcium absorption. So the joint pains, the knee pains, all of that will not be an issue if you ensure that vitamin D and calcium intake is perfect. Now, as another suggestion that I always give my clients, make sure that you are checking your vitamin, deficiency every 6 to 7 months, at least minimum 7 months. Every 7 months, you need to just, it's just a normal, simple blood test, and I tell them to recheck their vitamin B12, D3, calcium, iron, so you get to know whether if there is any deficiency, we can correct that ASAP. So to bring this conversation to an end from my side, this is one thing that I can tell you is the right choice is in your hands. You have to decide what you want to do in life. You want to go the healthier way, or you want to stick to what we are doing currently. And just because today's world, you need to see that health is wealth. If you are not making healthier choices, you are compensating your health towards something else, then in the end you are going to suffer. So with this, I sign out. Thank you very, very much for listening to me. Now we come up to any questions if we have from the crowd. We can take the questions from them.